You know the type of guy that was a jock in high school but ended up becoming a huge nerd? You know, someone that's not afraid to make a fool of themselves on the internet. And someone that likes to shoot Polaroid a little too much. Did I say huge nerd? You know, just an ordinary, everyday guy. Well, that's me. I'm just another Chris. Ooh, yeah. The biggest showdown of instant photography history. Not really. Just being a little dramatic. But welcome in. Today's a sad day. Not really, but kind of a bummer. The Lomography wide glass is being sent back to Lomography. Because this was on loan, and I just wanted to try it out, and I was pleasantly amazed with the results that I got with it. So cool. And a lot of people were wondering, how is it compared to the Mint RF70? Because it's technically the only contender right now on the market that has a glass lens that shoots instax wide. This is the only other one you can buy. Built in without using the graph lock back and the 4x5 camera and all that stuff. I know those exist, but there's a lot of... let's just forget about that. These are the only all-in-one cameras that you can buy. They have glass lenses that shoot wide format. And the biggest differences between them are the price tag. This right here, the Mint RF70, is supposed to be the premium, the best of the best. The moose boosh, if you will cost you $1,000. Yeah. Now I'm incorporating the cost of buying this with the ND filter pack, which you absolutely have to have to shoot this on a sunny day. Because otherwise you just get blown out pictures. And I believe this retails for $950, around there, without it. After shipping and tax, all that stuff, you're paying over $1,000. And I bought this. This will only cost you $270, and you don't need an ND filter pack accessory thing. It's awesome. So, which one should you buy? Well, that's what we're talking about today, and I'm going to show you some side-by-side shots and my thoughts and opinions, all that good stuff. So without further ado, though, let's dive into a couple comments. Ooh, I don't know what's evil about this, but hey, shout out to you for coming in. This is a good question. This is one I've been getting for quite a bit. How are these compared to the Instax Fuji 500AF? If you don't know what the 500AF is, don't feel bad, because no one really knows, because it was never released in America or anywhere else in the world except for Japan. And it was very limited release because it was problematic. There was no difference really between that one and the 200, the 100, the 210, and technically even the 300, other than it had autofocus. It would choose the lens for you instead of having to manually push a button for that extra zone focusing. But it's a plastic lens camera, and you're paying a lot of money for it. And once that motor breaks for the autofocus, your camera is dead in the water. There's no real point of getting that camera. I would like to. I looked for it when I was in Japan, but I couldn't find it. I was in Japan recently. Hello from Spain. You guys ever watch Pop Star? You know that movie Pop Star? Not a lot of people do. It bombed. But if you guys know, you know. Spain. Anyway, I digress. But going back to the cameras. So yeah, when I first got into instant photography, I learned about this. I wanted this so bad, but that price tag was just... it was a lot to swallow. And I reached out to Mint and was like, hey, can I get a loaner camera? I never heard back from him. And so a year goes by, I reach out to him again. I'm like, hey, this is what I do. Here's my videos. Can I get a loaner camera? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay. And then the next year later, I just purchased it. And then I had to send it back because the flash didn't work and something else didn't work. And then I got this one as a replacement one, and then it still is trash. The quality control of it is worse than the other one. I would have rather have had the first one I sent back. It doesn't turn off, so I have to remove the batteries pretty much every time. Well, every time. Otherwise, I'll just waste it, which I have wasted batteries with this thing. It won't turn off even in the closed position. I have to turn it into the off dial button, little whatever position. but it sticks out past the camera, so if you put it into a camera bag, it just rolls to the on position and the battery's drained. So I never know at any given time if there's film in here or how much shots I have left. It's really annoying, and I pay for it. And the metering doesn't work properly either, the light meter, which we'll go into in a second. Over here, I didn't purchase it. Like I said, this was sent to me from Lomography on loan. I have had it for about a month now, and I need to send it back. But I will be purchasing this with my own money once I do, probably after Christmas, after I spend all my money on Christmas gifts. Hence why I'm wearing Christmassy stuff right now. This isn't the Christmas like special. This is I've been prepping for it and shot it, and that's coming soon. The mini special that I do. But I figure, why not? If I have a set dress, why not, you know, dress up a little bit? But yeah, so I'm gonna be purchasing this because it is fan-freaking-tastic. They've massively improved this one over the previous model. Previous model was a little, the highlights were tough to capture, if you will. So in direct sunlight, you get a little overexposed, but they fixed this. And they've added some other features with it, which is really nice. I did a comparison video of this one with the old one, and then went out and shot a direct or like an in-depth real-world use with this, and did a minor comparison to the 300, which I think I still have somewhere in here. Oh, it's over there, can't reach it. But with the Instax 300. So yeah, if you want to check out those videos, they're out recently. Go check them out. But I want to do one last little thing before I send it back. Yeah, here we go. Let's go watching. Hello, there is no film counter on the RF? No, there is. It's even digital. Right? It would be right here. I think I took the batteries out. Yeah, I took the batteries out. And why is that? Because it drains the battery. It doesn't turn off. It's really annoying. But when you take the batteries off or out, it resets the counter. So it's really annoying. So if you want to load it up, you better just shoot the 10 shots and then take the batteries out. Otherwise, you'll just ruin it. Or not ruin it, but drain your batteries and just waste batteries. It's awful. I don't know how many batteries I've wasted on this thing. It's terrible. I don't like this camera. I really don't. Yeah. So the what was the other thing I was going to say about this? Oh, this is a rangefinder, which you would think that would be good. Right. This is not a rangefinder. It's zone focusing, and it has a wheel or a dial right here, and you can choose which focus you want. And this one even added in an extra one over the previous model with a 0.3, the close-up dial. But you just choose them based on the distance, which some people are like, oh, I don't like that. It was never a problem with me. It's pretty easy. I never missed focus with this, not a single time. And I was shooting portraits with, which I'll show you here in a second. Actually, I'll show right now. Here's just a shot I did with my sister, her fiance. We did this with for the closing of What We Do in the Shadows. Now, you may notice I'm wearing white clothes basically, and I'm a little overexposed. But there's also a harsh light right next to me. It was a studio light. And so, yeah, there was no flash for this shot, but yeah, it still did a good job. I mean, everything else is evenly exposed, but my conditions were just horrendous. No camera could have done this. But yeah, I've never missed focus, and this was with just the 1 to 2 meter range on the lens. It's pretty simple. I don't know why people are complaining about that, but this is a rangefinder, and there are two. Here we go. Right here, you view your shot through this, and then once you frame it up, you look through this hole and focus it. And then you gotta look back through here to make sure your range or your you haven't moved your focus or your shot, the framing. Come on, Chris, speak. And yeah, it's a little annoying. It's slow. It's very slow shooting. Not that that's a negative, but that's just what it is. And it's also the most loud camera I've ever used. You eject the camera and it sounds like it's going to explode. Why? When there's no other camera out there. I mean, Lomography is doing it for a fraction of the cost, and it's so quiet. This thing is so loud. I wish I had batteries in it. I'd show you how loud it is. It's like it's grinding. It just sounds like it's dying and it's gonna break. And you pay a Mint for it, $1,000, baby. Mint doesn't sponsor me anyway, so I don't care. I'll say whatever I want. Not that Lomography sponsored me. I'm not sponsored by any camera company. Polaroid, definitely not. Lomography, not. Mint, definitely, probably not ever. Not a camera question, but I'm also dying to know what you think of the Sony TPS2 Walkman you acquired. Oh yeah, I got that last year. Quick note on that. It's just on display. I bought new bands for it to get to work, and then I lost them, and then I never went back. So it's just on display in my case in my living room next to my Star-Lord hot toy and my Groot, and just a little Guardians little shelf on display. That's the update on that. But I love that thing. Got it for $200. I thought the viewfinder and rangefinder is in one window. No, it is not in the same window. You have to look through two separate. It's really annoying because once you frame it up, you gotta go in focus, and then you gotta look back and then try and line it up, and then sometimes you gotta look back through it again to make sure you're still in focus, because if you adjusted it and moved it, depending on how far away you are from the subject, it's really annoying. That's just how it is. But in theory, the camera would be perfect, because not only is it a glass lens that shoots wide, you have manual control over the camera. When you open it up, you have control over your aperture. Let me refocus this. There we go. It's a little sharper. You can choose f5.6 all the way up to f22, and then you have this little dial here for focusing. Look at that. Pretty cool, right? Well, the problem is Instax film is, here we go, I'll do this. Instax film is 800 ISO, or ASA if you want to stay in the film world. It's the same thing. But it's very sensitive to lights, 800. And the shutter speed only goes to 500th of a second. It's not fast enough. So you have to put ND filters on the front of the lens, which are a separate purchase. They don't come with them. So if you want to shoot it outside, guess what? Boom, f22 and 500th of a second, which makes no difference than if you're going to be shooting it on this or any other Instax camera. Unless you throw the ND filters on there, then you can maybe stop it down and get to like f11 maybe if you're lucky. But that 5.6 is really nice because you can get some depth of field. Well, with this Lomography camera, you can still get some depth of field. I've got some really cool shots with this, and I'll show them here in a second. But in theory, this would be perfect. If this went up to like 750th or 1,000th, oh my gosh. If that would just be, it would be great. I could live with the weird quirks, like having to remove the batteries, all that good stuff. Oh, the other thing that this has, new issue, this arose, it double ejects now. So I take a shot, it'll just spit out two photos. And that's on camera multiple times. In the video I did on the wide glass, you can see it happen. And it'll like stop halfway through, and so it kind of like jams. It's really bad. And you're paying a lot of money for it. A lot of money. It's really annoying. So I was so happy to see that Lomography came out with this, the RF70 killer. And it's a fraction of the cost. And people are like, oh, it's still expensive. It's $270. Sure. In the grand scheme, $270 is a decent amount of money. Now, in our world, when you compare everything else, actually, this wasn't planned, but here's the Polaroid version of the same like high-end level of class, the Polaroid i2. This is $600. Actually, right now, I think you can get it for $500. Pretty sure. It's for a Christmas sale. At least it was. But in our world, this is so cheap in comparison to the other cameras that you can buy. And it's just so nice. And in addition to that statement, if you were to buy the Instax 300, again, it's over there, I can't reach it. But that camera retailed for $130, $140, I think, when it originally was out, but it's no longer out. The 400 is now on the market for $150, but the 400 doesn't have any of the basically any settings whatsoever. You have no control over your shots. You just have a self timer now, which is pretty cool. It's simple, which is great. More people can get involved in instant photography and not have to worry about settings. Love that. Love that the Instax or Fuji did that. However, if you want a little bit more control, the only other Instax wide camera out there in the Fuji line is the 300, which gives you exposure compensation. Now, that camera's gone. You can't get it anymore. You have to go to eBay, Facebook Marketplace, aftermarket sites. Well, on eBay, the 300 is going for nearly $300 these days. Anything under 300, you're looking pretty good for that. So it's right in line with this pricing of this camera, if not more expensive, meaning this is cheaper. So this isn't that bad in price. I know some people were complaining about that in the previous video. Oh, it's expensive. Like, not really. Not really. If it went to 1,000th on the shutter, it could be a legit Sunny 16. Yes. Otherwise, you need the darkest ND filter you can get. Even with the darkest, in the harsh sunlight, like direct sunlight, it still doesn't really do the job. You could get your own ND filters, like a little film, and just hold it over the lens. That would work too. But yeah, it defeats the purpose of the camera and having the ability to control your aperture. If you're just outside maxing out everything, it looks no different than if you shot it with a plastic lens version. I'll show you. Here, actually, there's 2 more comments. Have you tried it with fresh batteries? Yeah, literally, these are brand new batteries every time, because every time I grab this, the batteries are dead. It sucks. It's awful. Lomo has the best wide option there is for the money. Facts. That wasn't originally the case. The original model of this, I liked it because it had the abilities that even this doesn't have, like remote shutter. This just has flash sync, and that's it. And I don't think it even has a self timer. Yeah, there's not even a self timer on this thing. But this, you can set it with the remote, which is right here. Yeah, it comes with this remote lens cap. Super cool. But the previous model, in direct sunlight, it struggled with the highlights, and they were a little overexposed. They fixed that with this, which is really cool. What we got here? I saw a couple of 300s on Marketplace for 100 to 150. Snatch them up. Because even if you don't want them, pop them on eBay, because they're going for well over 200. 200 to 300 range is kind of what they're worth now, which is kind of wild. I got lucky earlier this year, actually. I found a 300 for $40. Yeah, with like 3 packs of film. Super cool. Now, let's take a look at some photos from both cameras. From the Lomo wide and the RF70. Where are they? There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna have to change my focus. So we saw this one already. This one was taken just like a week or 2 ago. There we go. But this one, I was out with Caleb recently. Look at that. This is with the Lomo wide glass. I'll leave the wide glass on the left, and then I'll bring in some of the RF70 shots on the right. Should have made a graphic. I could have done that. But look at this. Now, this wasn't in complete direct sunlight. It was going behind the clouds a little bit. This was in direct sunlight. But man, it just handles the highlights so much better to where it almost looks too dark. Now the framing with the Lomo wide takes a little practice, because I framed this centered. It's a little wonky because you're looking off to the side with it. That is kind of a downside. With the RF70, you're still looking off to the side, but it's slightly closer to the lens, so the compensation doesn't need to be that bad or that much. This is pretty far off, and it takes a little practice, but even then, it's very acceptable, and I just love the colors of that shot. Overcast days, as you know, instant photography is probably, as you've learned, not the greatest to shoot in those conditions, but it can lend to some interesting results. With Polaroid, just shoot black and white in overcast days. Don't waste the film. It doesn't do well at all. But with Instax, you can get some interesting results, and this camera does a cool job. I mean, look at that. Let me go full screen. There you go. Do I have a comparison of that with this one? I just grabbed some random photos. Oh, here we go. Here's an overcast day in Seattle. with the RF70. Still a cool shot. I don't mind it. But the cloud details. Look at the cloud details. These were equivalently the same time. I live in the Pacific Northwest. This was taken down here in Vancouver, Washington, near Portland. This is in Seattle, about 3 hours away. Basically the same weather conditions, but not at the same time. But look how much of the freaking cloud detail is preserved versus completely blown out on the RF70. It's pretty crazy. Here's another example of that bridge with the wide glass. A little too dark, actually, which is crazy. Normally in these conditions, it would be blown out like this. It just blows my mind what you can get with this. Another shot. This is the St. John's Bridge. Overcast day. I mean, you can only do so much, right? Move this off to the side here. I'm a Polaroid purist. Shoot mostly SX70 Alpha 1, occasionally with the i2. But I have to say, Lomo Wide is tempting me. It should tempt you because it's awesome. I'm not being paid by Lomography. I only speak about stuff I truly like, and I truly like it. They're not paying me. They didn't even give me this camera. They let me borrow it, and I have to send it back. It's literally one of the loaner cameras. They have the camera numbered. Number 5. So whoever gets it next to test, and it's number 5, it was me. I got to test it first. Well, not first. I think, I could be wrong, but I watched Ribsy's review of it, which he didn't like it, this camera, for various reasons. But I think it was his. I think he actually used this one before me, because there was the tape on the top. I think I saw a 5. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he might have had it before me. What's another shot? Well, here we go. This is actually, believe it or not, there is a photo in there. This is, again, the RF70. What you can't really make on camera. Oh, there we go. That's Nop Top in his Jeep. I was visiting him out in Ohio like a couple years ago. That was with the metering of the camera, because it does have a built-in light meter, and it kind of tells you a little bit of what you can, or what gauging of the scene, if you're over or under. And then if you're over, it'll tell you what ND filter you're supposed to use. Well, I was following what it said, and this is what I got. So, granted, it wasn't with this. Was it with this one? It was with this one. I was wondering if it was before I sent it back, because this is the second one. This was with that one. Yeah, it was. Trusting the light meter, that's what I got. I wish I had some like direct, perfect, conditions, or like the same photos, but I don't. But shot this recently. This is actually the Halloween Town filming location. Near me, St. Helens, Oregon, and I went there just to shoot some photos with friend Caleb. Went on a little mini road trip, local road trip, and yeah, they had Santa out there. Look at the colors; it's so vibrant. I'm gonna go full screen. Nice. Now I pulled some. Oh, speaking of that, here's another one I redid of Dave. He's in sunlight, but yet it's still like dark. I was trying to get him contrasted from the background. It didn't really work. Now, here's probably the best photo I've taken with the Mint RF70. Look at that. It's just, like, very underwhelming. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But when you look at in the grand scheme of, like, $1,000, full manual control, aperture control, and this is the best you can get, it's like, really? I could go 5.6, cool depth of field, but you can't do it outside. It's the whole thing. A little frustrating. But, where's another one? Here's another one that was... There's no color. That was bright red. I don't know. This camera is frustrating. Very frustrating. I realized that comparing Polaroid and Fuji is a bit apples, oranges. Yeah, more like bananas and apples, but But I'd love to know how a showdown between the i2 would compare to the Lomo glass. That would be interesting. And very difficult, kind of like you said. Just because the film types alone are so different. But the i2, I've come around to love that camera. It was quirky before, where they did an update to the camera, a firmware update, month or so ago, a couple months ago, and it's great. Better auto exposure, better metering. Light metering, way better. Really nice. But it'd be hard to gauge, but that would be a fun test. I might do that when I buy this camera, because I will be purchasing this camera soon. Oh, speaking of the man, the myth, the legend, you must have heard me talking. We got an op-top in the house. These black and white photos look great. Which ones? The other ones? Oh my gosh. Believe it or not, those weren't black and white. I know what you're talking about now. These are actually color. But Overcast does that. Was happy to see your studio pic you did of yourself with a new glass version of the wide. Looked great, by the way. Studio pic. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. The one I did here, sitting here. Yeah. It's great. This camera's fantastic. Okay, what else we got? This one was actually really good. The plus to being able to have control over the shutter. Not shutter. Well, yeah, shutter and aperture. When you're in low light situations and you don't want to use a flash or are not allowed to use a flash, you can get photos like this. This was another one of the better photos I took with the Mint RF70. This was at the Stranger Things experience. I don't remember which one. Actually, it was Canada. I took that in Canada, in Toronto. Last year, yeah, and yeah, it's great. You know, no complaints there. It was able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to do that with other cameras without a tripod, because I could shoot that with the Lomo on a tripod with the bulb mode, and then just time it. But you can't bring tripods in there. Oh yeah, here's another one with RF70, but look how blown out it is. I wish I had a picture of what it looked like out there. It was sunny, like it was nice. It was like this. Well, it was like just about sunset, but the sun was still in the sky. And it was really nice. But that's what we got, and that's what happened. Just like, look at the colors, man. Look at the freaking colors, the sharpness, the exposure. It's so good. This is like all in auto. It has another feature on that you can use, which I do want to talk about. I just learned a weakness with this camera that this new feature helps with, and that's the F22 mode. So over here on the bottom, it's gonna be a little out of focus, but right there it has F22, which the other model doesn't have. And I originally was thinking, oh, outside sunny day, you can choose to shoot F22, and then you can do like -1 even on exposure comp and really dial it in. But what I found that it might actually be for is indoors with the flash on. You can put your F22, use the flash, and it'll help, because it still meters even in low light, for that low light with the flash on, which was really weird. I did not find that out until after the video came out. So I was the other night I was at my sister's house. We were watching some movies, taking some pictures, and all of them were coming out blown out, just pure white. I'm like, what is going on? So I put it F22 and it worked a lot better. So didn't know that. Something to keep in mind. I don't shoot with a lot of indoor stuff. I'm mostly an outdoor shooter, but that's something that I should have tested. Just didn't know. Look at that one. Yeah. It's hard to compete. I mean, look at this. Look at that. It made the Pacific Northwest look like California. Look at that. It's like, there's even palm trees over here. It's hard to see, but yeah. What else is over here? Oh yeah, disappointment at Disneyland. Look at this blown out picture of Goofy. It's not terrible, but it's definitely blown out. The whole image is like, the highlights are just completely just. I don't understand. Look at this one. It looks like I'm just picking and choosing the worst photos. However, these are like some of the better photos I've gotten with it. Most of the shots I get with it, it just looks like this. And I used to think, like, well, it's just me. Like, I need to be better. But I'm relying on what the camera gives me. And I even shot a lot of this stuff with an external light meter. But it didn't really help that much. So when I make videos, that's something that I really need to bring across better, I guess, is that if I review a camera, if the camera gives me the options, that's what I'm testing. Like when I originally did the i2 camera, people were like, well, stop using the internal light mirror. You have to use an external light mirror. No, I don't. It gave it to me. It should be good. It should work. I'm a consumer. I'm paying $600 for a camera. If it has it, it needs to work, right? And if it doesn't, I gotta let people know that. So that's why a lot of these shots look this way too, because I'm like, this is what it has. This is what it told me, and this is what you get, which I think is unacceptable for the price. This one was really cool. So this is a segue. I didn't realize it was on top. Originally thought this one was going to be terrible photo. Where's the button? There it is. This was with the Lomo. I was in that dark alley, so it chose to expose for the shadows because it was in a really dark spot. And I was taking a picture of the twins from The Shining. There was a mural that was on that wall. And you can't really see them. They're blown out, which is more my fault. I was in the shadows and it was trying to expose for that instead of stepping forward more. But I really wanted this like alleyway shot. Well, I think it came out so cool. It's like super creepy. Really cool. This is also under like, what would you call it? Like the canopy of a forest, if you will. Abandoned like fire truck. Oh, I have a comparison of this with Caleb's shot with the Lomo, the Instax 300. And his was not great. Look at that. It handled it so well. It was perfect. And normally shooting, and maybe you guys can or know this or experience this, but shooting like in woodsy areas or with trees with instant photos, it's like impossible. It is really, really difficult. It looks like complete garbage. Either way overexposed, underexposed, or just muddy looking and just like blah. Look at that. That was surprising. I'll be honest, I haven't taken a bad photo with this. I try to look for bad ones, but I haven't. Look at the colors of that. Like, are you kidding me? Look at that. This is the direct sunny day. Knob Top, if you're in here, he can attest to this. This was about the same weather as this day. This was the best that could do. I think did I grab the other one of this one? Because there is no, I don't. There's another one of this where I used because this is an ND4, I believe. It was still overexposed. And then I used the ND8 and it did help it, but it wasn't as good as this. Right out of camera. No ND filter required. So that's a little frustrating. Where is it? I think that means something from Colombia. Hello from Colombia. The Lomo has a slight vignetting. Yes, great you pointed that out. I meant to bring that up. So the Lomo look, if you will, Lomography is known for that. Pretty much everything they've ever put out has that vignette. The original release of this camera, did I push the button? I think we're okay. Yeah, we're still good. The original release of the wide, it was really prominent. This one isn't as bad. It still has it a little bit, but it's not as bad or as good. It's really up to your preference. I don't really mind it. I think it looks cool. It really kind of focuses the eye in there, and I think it looks cool. But that's just my opinion. But like, even this one, it's not really. I mean, it's there a little bit, but not as bad. Like this one, you can. I mean, I guess right there, it's really not that prominent at all. However, there are no other cameras out there that do that. Like, shout out to the Hummer. She went to a new home yesterday. But indoors, that's with the on a tripod, if I remember right. Yeah, on a tripod. And didn't it come out? Yeah, can't even see any. I don't know. The Lomo, it just doesn't do the Mint RF70, what you pay for, I didn't get. Other people do say they get good pictures with it, and maybe that's true. I've had 2 of these cameras, and they both sucked. Maybe you got one that works properly. Because I have 2 of them, and they all have had QC problems, and that's apparently very well known with Mint cameras. And they used to work with people. I told them about this second one. I never heard back from them. So that's a little frustrating. I paid a lot of money. And they also told me when I was sending it back, they were going to send some sample photos. They were going to test it out, all that sort of stuff. That never happened. They just sent me a replacement and then left it at that. And I sent back the other one. And yeah, this just sits on a shelf and I get to complain about it like once a year. I was just going to leave it. I was probably just going to sell it for parts basically. But this came out and I was like, ooh, I can actually do another comparison with it. But I was so disappointed because I wanted this camera so bad, because in theory it should be the best one, but it's not. It's the farthest thing from it. I really wish it was, but yeah, if you get one, hopefully yours works. Let's see what else we got. I want this new Lomo. Me too. Wish I could keep it. But this time I will wait for other designs of the camera. Last time I was racing to get the Lomo 110, but now there's a black copper. I regret not waiting a bit longer. Huh. It'll be interesting to see if they do. And if they do, it'll just be like maybe a different color leather skin. Because I don't know. It's just, who knows what they can do? Because I know there's a black version and a white version of the previous model. Will they go that route? This one is different, just to try and help separate the two, looking at them without the other one next to it. Some people could just assume it's the previous model. Granted, the lens is a lot bigger on this one, but I don't know. We'll see what they do. I don't know. If you might as well just get it. It's great. ND 8 is the highest it comes with. It has a 2, 4, and an 8. And it's like $50, I think, for those 3. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Using that Mint camera give you the stress of Polaroid instant photos with instax film. It does. It really, really does. Because it's just wasting film out of it. You just don't get good stuff, man. Now, is it worth the price tag to be able to shoot in dark situations? Maybe. I don't know. You can do that with this in bulb mode. But you'd think, as it being a professional camera, because some people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to get it to use it as a professional camera for like weddings or events. But even if the camera worked properly, the thing is so freaking loud, you embarrass yourself just by ejecting the photo. People are going to look at you like, what is that sound? It's like, I wish I had some batteries handy. Look at this. You want to hear this thing? All right, I'll show you. This is what $1,000 gets you. Wait, which way? Okay, this way. All right, here we go. You ready? It should be stopping right now. Yeah, see, it's double ejecting. The motor doesn't stop. Yeah, granted, there's no film in there, but it should have stopped a while ago. But it's broken or something. I don't know. Oh, and some people were asking. So on the back, there's the film counter. Now it says there's 10, but I have to take the batteries out to save the batteries from dying. Because look, it's closed. Here's a great example. Here's proof. Here's proof. The camera is closed. Closed. It's supposed to turn off, but it's still on. So I have to go here, off. Now it's off, but it still draws power. But when you put it into a camera bag, that just moves, and now it's on in your bag, draining, dying. So next time you grab it, even if it's like an hour later, it's dead. It's stupid. Anyway, Mint RF70. Not for me. Maybe it's for you. If it did work, it might be better, but I could probably live with it. Where's the button I'm looking for? That's what I'm looking for. Cool thing about this, though, you may notice, oh, I took the batteries out. Oh, it has an analog film counter on the back, so you always know how much film you got in the camera. I should have mentioned that in the video. All right, did I put them in right? I did. Yeah. No, I love this thing. This thing has been a blast. Sad. I'm very sad I have to send this back. But I'll be buying one. I love it that much. In fact, I've been on record saying how much of a Polaroid shooter I am. I prefer Polaroid. Like, when I'm running out the house, boom, grabbing Polaroid. I am frustrated with their film at times, but it's worth it for me still. Like, I just really enjoy shooting Polaroid. Still do, and that won't change. However, and since I've had this camera, I've been reaching just for this more, and I'm buying a lot more instax wide film than I ever have. In fact, I've been leaving the house with only this and not a Polaroid camera. I'm leaving the Polaroid back at home, which is crazy for me, just for how much of a Polaroid shooter I am. So yeah, I cannot recommend this enough. And again, can't stress this enough. I am not being paid by Lomography. They never saw any of the videos I did on it before release. They said, here you go. You can borrow the camera. You don't get to keep it. Just hang out. I think they told me 4 weeks. I'm a little, well, yeah, I think I'm a little past. Maybe by like a couple days. Now, they will say, as a full disclosure, I had told them I will be purchasing this. They did offer me a discount code. I don't know how much it is because I was trying to go online and put it in to see how much it was, but I didn't see a spot for it, so I don't know how much it is. It's probably like 10%, but that's really nice of them. This is full disclosure, but yeah, I am paying for this stuff, and yeah, they don't get to see these things. But what do you think? Are you gonna get one of these? Do you have one? Do you like it? Is there something better? Do you have a Mint RF70 that works and is really good? Let me know. I'm curious. I would like to hear your feedback on that. Right before we wrap up, I do want to mention one thing. And I was literally making a video about this. It was going to be a reel, like a short, over on Instagram and YouTube here. And it's buried here. And I got nervous because I don't want to make Brooklyn Film Camera mad. I love Kyle, who was just on the podcast recently too. But I'll at least show this for full transparency. I found this baby online, and there was a few others. And what it is this. This is a lens for the Polaroid i2. It threads on. Really cool. Look at that. Oh, very similar to the ones that Retrograde Engineer / Brooklyn Film Camera produces, but for the SX70. And the reason I was nervous to put this out is because Brooklyn Film Camera, as awesome as they are and how awesome Kyle is, did just release lenses for the i2 camera. And it put me in a weird dilemma, weird little pickle, because I paid $20 for this, and they're selling the same ones for like $40 or $45. So it's like, what do I do here? Do I make the video? Do I not make the video? Yeah, because I don't want to make them mad, because I like Kyle. I'm not affiliated with him by any means. I have no allegiance, if you will. But I also want to support small businesses and all that sort of stuff. So I still encourage you to go purchase from them. But if you want to save some money, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll make a video. But I just wanted to show it off because it's pretty cool. The only downside with some of these lenses is that, well, two things. One, it's not an SLR camera. And this one is pretty much, you kind of need to have it as an SLR. This is like the Vortex Prism. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. It's not going to be perfect, but give you an idea. There we go. See how cool, kind of cool that is? It blurs the edges. The center is cool. It's actually one of my favorite lenses to use on the SX70 that Retrograde makes. And those ones are actually custom. He has his own manufacturers like producing those ones. And so the other thing is with a lot of these lenses is that the Polaroid i2 uses LiDAR for autofocus, and which bypasses this lens. And so at a certain distance, they just don't work very well. And there are some like fisheye lenses I really wanted to use with this camera, but knowing how the other ones work on like the SX70, you can't use autofocus on that. You have to go into manual focus and manually focus the wide angle. So they don't work on here. So that's kind of a negative. So some of these work, some of them don't. And yeah, I wanted to talk about it at least. They do exist. They do exist. We'll see if I make a full video. Because I've done some other videos in the past with lenses for this camera that I found at Policon Bay Area, San Francisco this year. They're really cool, but they're like, they don't exist anymore. It was from a guy that just had old stock, like old new stock at a table, and I found 49mm threaded lenses, and they fit on there. I did some videos, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy! How do I get that?" I'm like, I found these. I don't know. It would be cool if you could get your hands on them, but now I'm starting to find more. Anyway, enough about that. I just wanted to kind of mention that. Be on the lookout for a couple things. I got this Christmas special coming up. It's a mini special that I do once a year. I give away stuff. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know if I'll be doing another live stream until the end of the year, which will be my annual, what's it called? The album build out. I choose my top cameras of that particular year. And that's always fun. It's a long stream. We just hang out. We look at pictures, Q&A. I might try and have guests come on for that. I might make it a bigger thing. Well, I don't know. But be on the lookout for that. But time to wrap it on up. Where is it?